The Void Protocol Chapter 8, The God in the Glass. The wind on the roof of the world didn't scream, it whispered. At 2,000 meters the air was thin, cold, and rarefied. The smog of the lower city was just a carpet of dirty wool far below us. Up here, under the open gaze of the void scar, the silence was absolute. We stood on the landing pad of the apex. It was a circular disk of white marble and glass, suspended over the abyss by gravity-dampening fields. In the center, floating 5 meters in the air, was the integration chamber, a sphere of blinding white light where Elara slept, wires drilling into her skin, her mind being uploaded to the stars one bite at a time. And guarding her was Commander Valerius. He stood like a statue carved from diamond. His white armor was pristine, unblemished by the chaos consuming the city below. The hard light sword in his hand hummed, a low, angry buzz like a trapped wasp. The blade wasn't metal, it was captured photons, compressed into a solid edge capable of cutting through molecular bonds. "Rin," I whispered, my voice sounding thin in the high altitude. "Pattern Delta. Flank him. I'll take the center." Rin didn't answer. She just racked the slide of her rifle. She looked pale. The radiation from the void scar was making her nose bleed. She was purely organic. She had no filters, no implants to shield her. She was dying just by standing here. "You should have stayed in the gutter, Scraper," Valerius said. His voice was amplified, booming from the speakers of his helmet. "You climbed all this way just to witness the end." "I came to cancel the subscription," I said, stepping forward. My iron arm felt heavy. The void energy inside it was restless, surging against the containment of the Elara chip. It wanted to be released. It wanted to eat. Valerius tilted his head. "You carry the corruption in your own flesh. You think you are fighting it, but you are just another carrier. Look at your veins, Kaelen." I didn't need to look. I could feel it. The black tar wasn't just in my arm anymore. It was in my neck. It was clouding my vision with a vignette of static. "Surrender the key," Valerius commanded, raising his sword, "and I will grant you a quick deletion. A mercy." "Mercy?" I spat blood onto the white marble. "That's rich coming from the guy who turned a city into a battery." I lunged. I didn't run. I engaged the hydraulic piston in my calf, the one I had scavenged from the train wreck, and launched myself. I closed the 10-meter gap in a second. I swung my iron fist, aiming for his helmet. Chimera. I hit nothing but light. Valerius moved with a speed that defied biology. He didn't dodge, he flowed. He stepped inside my guard, his movements guided by a combat algorithm far superior to my own instincts. He swung the hard light sword. Zzzt. The blade slashed across my chest. It didn't cut my coat, it disintegrated the fabric. It seared a line of blackened flesh across my ribs. The pain was instant and cauterized, a cold burn. I staggered back, gasping. "Too slow," Valerius mocked. "You fight like a brawler. I fight like a surgeon." Bam, bam, bam. Rin opened fire from the flank. 3 depleted uranium slugs aimed at Valerius's back. He didn't even turn around. A shimmering kinetic field flared around his armor. The bullets hit the invisible wall and stopped dead, dropping to the floor like pebbles. "Kinetic dampeners," Rin cursed, reloading. "My rounds are useless." Valerius raised his free hand toward Rin. A repulsor node in his palm began to glow. "No!" I shouted. I charged again. This time I didn't punch. I opened my claws. "Grip?" I grabbed the blade of his energy sword. It was madness. The hard light should have sliced my iron fingers off. But the void tech in my arm reacted. The black obsidian carapace absorbed the energy. Sparks of blue and white flew like a welding torch. My arm screamed. The metal heated up instantly to red hot. But I held on. "Gotcha," I gritted out. Valerius looked surprised for the first time. He tried to pull the sword back, but my hydraulic grip was locked at 9,000 psi. "Rin? Now." Rin didn't shoot him. She shot the floor beneath him. The marble tile shattered. Valerius lost his footing. I twisted my body, using the momentum to hurl him. He flew across the platform, crashing into the base of the integration chamber. His energy sword flickered and died, shorted out by my void grip. "Admin privilege," I panted, steam rising from my melting iron fingers. "I revoke your weapon permit." Valerius stood up. He looked at his dead sword handle, then tossed it aside. He laughed. A cold metallic sound. "You think that was my weapon?" he asked. He clenched his fists. The white armor he wore began to shift. Plates slid open. Vents hissed. This armor is a Mark X Praetorian chassis, he said. It is powered by a miniaturized fusion core. I don't need a sword scraper. I am the sword. He charged. He didn't use technique this time. He used raw power. He slammed into me like a freight train. His armored fist hit my iron arm, knocking it aside. His other fist hit my face. Crack. My jaw fractured. My vision went white. He hit me again. In the gut. I felt something rupture inside. I fell to my knees. Valerius grabbed me by the throat, my human throat, and lifted me off the ground with one hand. I kicked, I clawed, but his grip was iron. He squeezed. My windpipe creaked. Look at her, Valerius commanded, turning me to face the floating sphere of light. I looked. Inside the sphere, Elara was screaming. It was a silent scream. Her back was arched, her mouth open in agony. The cables plugged into her skin were pulsing with blinding white data. She wasn't sleeping anymore. She was being unraveled. Her skin was turning into pixels, then back to flesh over and over again. Upload status, 99.4%. A holographic counter hovered above her. She is becoming pure information, Valerius said reverently. She is the bridge. When she reaches 100%, the physical world ends. We ascend. No more hunger. No more pain. Just eternal data. It's not heaven, I choked out, vision tunneling. It's graveyard. Perspective, Valerius said. Goodbye, Kaelen. He squeezed harder. Darkness rushed in. Bam. A shot rang out. Valerius flinched. His head snapped forward. Rin had fired. Not at his armor. At his visor. The uranium slug didn't penetrate the reinforced glass, but it cracked it. A spiderweb fracture appeared right over Valerius's eye. He dropped me. I hit the floor, gasping, sucking in the thin air. Valerius touched his cracked visor. He turned slowly toward Rin. Annoying, he muttered. He raised his hand. The repulsor node glowed. Whoosh. A blast of kinetic force shot across the platform. It hit Rin. She didn't stand a chance. She was thrown backward, flying through the air like a ragdoll. She smashed into the energy barrier at the edge of the roof. She crumpled. She didn't get up. Rin? I screamed. Valerius turned back to me. Now, where were we? I looked at Rin's motionless body. I looked at Elara's agony. I looked at the counter. 99.6%. I felt something break inside me. Not a bone. Not a circuit. It was the limiter. The fear. I looked at my arm. The black tar was pulsating, hungry. Vex said the null code rewrites reality, I whispered. It said I'm the admin. I stood up. I didn't raise my fists. I opened my hand. I reached out, not to Valerius but to the code of his suit. I closed my eyes. I visualized the fusion core in his chest. I saw the magnetic fields holding his armor together. Access? I didn't ask. I commanded. System? Override. Valerius took a step toward me, then froze. What? He gasped. My servos, they're locked. I walked toward him. Every step was agony, but I didn't feel it. I felt only the cold fire of the void. You like being a machine? I asked, my voice distorting, layering with the digital growl of the null code. Then obey the command. I clenched my iron fist. Valerius screamed. His armor began to crush him. The Mark X chassis designed to protect him turned inward. The plates slid tighter. The joints locked and twisted backward. Crunch. Snap. I broke his arm with my mind. I shattered his knee with a thought. Stop, he shrieked, the calm commander gone, replaced by a terrified man trapped in a metal coffin. What are you doing? I'm editing the file, I said. I reached him. He was on his knees, held in place by his own treacherous armor. I placed my iron hand on his chest, right over the fusion core. You wanted to ascend? I said. Let me help you. I engaged the drain. But I didn't drain energy from him. I pushed the void into him. I flooded his fusion core with null fluid. ZZZZZRT. The reaction was catastrophic. Fusion energy met void corruption. Valerius lit up from the inside. Blue light blasted out of the cracks in his armor. He glowed like a supernova contained in a tin can. He screamed one last time, a sound that wasn't human anymore. Boom. He exploded. It wasn't a fire explosion. It was an implosion of gravity and light. Valerius vanished. His armor, his body, his sword, erased from existence. I was thrown back by the shockwave, sliding across the marble floor. I lay there staring up at the sky. The void scar was fully open now. The eye was looking down. It was huge. It filled the horizon. And the counter above Elara beeped. Upload status, 99.9%. Initiating final sequence. No, I whispered. I dragged myself toward the integration chamber. My legs were useless. I pulled myself with my iron arm. Clank, drag, clank. I reached the base of the sphere. Elara was glowing so bright I could barely look at her. Kaelen, her voice was everywhere. In the air. In my head. It is too late. The stream has taken me. No, I shouted, reaching up. I can pull you out. I can break the connection. If you pull me out, she said, sadness drenching her words, my mind will fragment. I will die. And the door will remain open forever. Then what do I do? I cried. Tears streamed down my face, mixing with the grime. Tell me how to save you. You cannot save me, she said. You can only save them. She looked down at the city below. At the millions of frozen sleepwalkers. To close the door, she said, someone has to pay the toll. Someone has to finish the upload and take control of the void. I have to go, Kaelen. I have to become the sky. I won't let you go alone, I said. You must, she said. You are the anchor. You are the memory of what it means to be human. If you come with me, there is no one left to remember. She reached out her hand inside the sphere. Give me the chip, she said. Give me the key. And let me lock the door from the other side. I looked at my iron arm. The chip was buried deep in my wrist. It was the only thing keeping me alive. It was the power source for my heart, my arm, my strength. If I gave it back. If I give it to you, I said softly, I die. Yes, she said. The arm will fail. The corruption will take you. Or the fall will kill you. I looked over at Rin. She was stirring, groaning. She was alive. I looked at the city. I looked at Elara. A 12-year-old girl who had been used as a tool her whole life. I was never alive anyway, I said. I was just a scraper. I raised my iron arm. I activated the claws. I dug them into my own wrist. Bang. Blinding, searing pain. I ripped the casing open. I dug through the wires and the black tar. I found the chip. I pulled it out. The blue light in my arm died instantly. The iron limb went dead, heavy and inert. It dragged my shoulder down. I fell against the glass of the sphere. I held the chip up to the glass. Elara placed her hand against the glass on the other side. The glass dissolved. She took the chip. She smiled. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Goodbye, scraper, she whispered. She crushed the chip in her hand. Upload complete, 100%. System reboot. A wave of white light exploded from the chamber. It was silent. It was gentle. It washed over the apex. It washed over the city. It hit the void scar in the sky. The tear in reality screamed, a sound of fabric ripping. And then it stitched itself shut. The purple clouds vanished. The bone tower's shadow vanished. The sun broke through. Real yellow sunlight. I watched the light hit the city. I saw the lights come back on in the buildings below. I saw the traffic start moving. I heard the distant honk of horns. The sleepwalkers were waking up. The buffer was gone. I slumped against the base of the machine. My arm was dead. My body was cold. The corruption in my veins was solidifying, turning me into a statue. Rin crawled over to me. She was limping, holding her side. Kaelen, she said, grabbing my good hand. Look, you did it. We did it, I whispered. My vision was fading to gray. Stay with me, Rin said, her voice cracking. Medevac is coming. I hear the sirens. Stay with me, partner. It's okay, I said. I looked up at the blue sky. It was so bright. I just wanted to verify the upload. I closed my eyes. The pain faded. The noise of the city faded. And in the silence I heard a voice. Not Vex. Not the entity. Just a girl humming a lullaby. And then, nothing. Epilogue. 6 months later. Sector 44. The rain was falling again. But it wasn't acid. It was just rain. Rin sat at a noodle bar, nursing a synthetic beer. Her arm was in a sling, but she looked healthy, cleaner. She looked at the holographic news feed hovering over the counter. Zenith Corp dissolved. Omega files revealed. Memorial for the lost. She tapped the table. You'd hate this, she said to the empty stool beside her. They're calling you a hero. They built a statue in the plaza. She took a sip of beer. It's an ugly statue, she added. Doesn't capture your scowl. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small object. It was a piece of scrap metal. A hydraulic piston finger. She placed it on the counter. Vex says hi, she whispered. Or he would if I could get his back up to run on this toaster of a radio. The radio on her belt crackled. System? Reboot? Sequence? Initiated? Rin smiled. A real smile. Took you long enough, she said. She looked out at the street. The neon signs were bright. The people were walking, living. And high above in the clear night sky, a single new star blinked. It blinked in Morse code. Thank you. The end.